So Star Trek was back in the news! Well, not really. Paramount wants you to think there's something going on, but more than likely, it's just a desperate plea for investors, you know. So then Variety a couple of days ago decided, hey, whatever became of that Tarantino Star Trek? And that thing was tossed around. And it was caught everybody by surprise. What, really? And all this stuff. And he himself talked about it, so it wasn't like it was just some make-believe nonsense, or was it? So here's the article. Oh, Paramount confirmed this week that WandaVision director Matt Shatman will head into production on a new Star Trek movie later this year with Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, Zoe Saldana, Carl Urban, John Cho, Simon Pegg reprising their roles for a fourth go-around on the big screen. No, that's not what they said. They said they're in possible talks with Chris Pine. So, no, sorry. But yeah, this is going to be, they want to talk about the Tarantino film. So, I think the Tarantino film was another attempt at getting excitement and interest in it, that some money people would show up and do this. Now, Star Trek 4 was announced right before Star Trek 3 had been released, which was Star Trek Beyond. And, well, the movie bombed and all that, and it was actually suffering from the sins of Star Trek Into Darkness, in my opinion. Even though Star Trek Beyond it's a pretty stupid film, it's not as bad as Into Darkness, which isn't saying much. The 2009 film was the best they did, and that was probably by accident. But the primary thing that they had going for them was the cast. It's a really good cast to do this sort of thing, which was really hard to sell. But that cast did sell it. They did their part. It's just everybody else who failed. So anyway, Tarantino fans were sent into a frenzy in late 2017 after it was announced that Paramount and Star Trek producer J.J. Abrams loved Tarantino's pitch for a new Star Trek movie. Yeah, because he's Quentin Tarantino. And they were thinking, oh, if he wants to do it, let's get him in. Of course, you got to pay him for his trouble. I'm guessing you couldn't. Tarantino ultimately partnered with The Revenant screenwriter Mark L. Smith, who was tasked with writing a Star Trek film based on Tarantino's idea, while Tarantino was busy finishing post-production and touring the world for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Smith revealed on the Bulletproof Screenwriting podcast in August 2021 that J.J. Abrams' production company, Bad Robot, gave him a call on Tarantino's behalf. They just called me and said, hey, are you up for it? Do you want to go? Quentin wants to hook up. And I said, yeah, the screenwriter said. And that was the first day I met Quentin. In the room, and he's reading a scene that he wrote, and it was this awesome, cool gangster scene, and he's acting it out and back and forth. I told him I was so mad I didn't record it on my phone. It would have been so valuable. It was amazing. Tarantino intended to bring a Pulp Fiction vibe to Star Trek with an idea that was a largely earthbound story, which, yeah, probably could have saved money on that, so you don't have to go in space and stuff. Set in the 1930s gangster setting, Tarantino's pitch appeared to take inspiration from A Piece of the Action, the 17th episode of the second season of Star Trek, the original series. The installment, which aired in 1968, followed the Enterprise crew as they visit a planet with an Earth-like 1920s gangster culture. Smith told Bulletproof Screenwriting that the screenwriting process started almost immediately after he agreed to work with Tarantino, adding, I would go hang out at his house one night, and we would watch old gangster films. We were there for hours. We were just kicking back, watching gangster films, laughing at the bad dialogue, but talking about how it would bleed into what we wanted to do. According to Smith, Tarantino's Star Trek idea was really wild and like its own very cool episode. The plot included a little time travel, well, I can imagine, stuff going on, and had a lot of fun with Chris Pine's Captain Kirk. Tarantino fans expected the director to go all in on Pine, considering Tarantino's outspoken love for the actor. Tarantino has called the Pine starring Unstoppable one of his favorite action films, and he had nothing but raves for Pine's performance as Kirk in the 2009 Star Trek reboot. Yeah, he's good at it. He's good in the role, and that's the strongest thing about the Bad Robot Star Trek films is the cast. They managed to nail that pretty good, especially Carl Urban as McCoy. That's really good. But he really liked Chris Pine in this, and that's the cast he wanted to work with. And he goes on about, yeah, he can do William Shatner's Kirk. Well, yeah, he has some of the personality aspects of Shatner's Kirk because it's Shatner's Kirk, but he was good to not go overboard with that, and so it worked for that iteration. It's just they didn't have any other ideas for what to do with them, and it showed. So Tarantino's Star Trek was widely believed to be R-rated and all that sort of thing. Well, I don't know if he needed that. I mean, if they're going to be dropping F-bombs every 5 seconds, that's kind of stupid. And then maybe the violence would be over the top, maybe, I guess, with gangsters and everything. But I don't know. It's like the immediate thing is like, hey, you're going to do a Tarantino that wants to do a Star Trek film. Really? That's interesting. What's he going to do? Gangsters. Okay. But, that might have been their best outcome because left up to just bad robot guys, they already pooped the bed twice on those films. So it's like, they didn't have any ideas. There was some time travel movie supposed to involve Hemsworth coming back and playing Kirk's father, and he would get to meet him and all this stuff because of time travel and whatever that plot was supposed to be. That was the idea. It probably wasn't even a complete pitch, but the problem is he became Thor and became a big star, and Chris Pine went off to be a bigger star, and they expect to be paid for the amount that they've achieved, and no, that was too expensive. And because they kept pooping the bed, and so their investors they bailed. This is not, you're just throwing money away on you guys. You don't know what you're doing. And that's the problem Paramount finds himself in. And they keep trying to gin up excitement. And they've done this several times with this elusive Star Trek IV film. So then there was Noah Hawley. They pitched that around, and that was going to be an entirely different cast. I don't know. He seemed to be more referential to Next Generation. So one wondered, would this be a new Next Generation cast like they did with the original series with Pine and all them? I don't know. It might have been something entirely removed from that, which is something they should have done with the TV shows, because they keep going back to the prequel trough, and it's not working out for them. So yeah, Justin Lin, Star Trek Beyond, underwhelmed at the box office. Yeah, well, it wasn't a great movie. It had some interesting aspects to it that made it better than Into Darkness, but Into Darkness that's the one that really pooped the bed for it, and that's too bad. Had that one been the second one, they might have been in better shape. I don't know. It's not a good movie. But Into Darkness is just a disaster. It's so bad. And it's sad because, again, the cast is good, but you're not giving them what they need. You're not giving them the script that's worthy of their talent and skill. So anyway, Shackman, he's known for WandaVision and stuff like that. This will be his first feature film. So. Oh no, he directed one previous feature, 2015 indie Cut Bank with Liam Hemsworth. Hey, connections there, and Billy Bob Thornton. So all right, at least he has one under his belt. But maybe he could pull one out. I'm rather dubious. I don't know that it's going to happen at all. They don't have a deal with Chris Pine yet. So if you can't swing that, then you're back to the drawing board, and then you're trying to get some other name, director or producer or whatever, in the hopes that that'll gin up some excitement for their idea of Star Trek. For whatever reason, you didn't go with Noah Hawley. He's off doing an Alien TV series now. So then Rod Roddenberry chimes in on this, and that, he wasn't so positive about Tarantino. He says, I struggle with that because the way I'm pretty this isn't written very well. The way I'm pretty myopic with the way I see Star Trek. I mentioned that I grew up with fans coming up to me out say, "Oh man, this is badly written," how Star Trek inspired them and gave them hope for the future. That's right. You hear a lot about that. It's the optimism and the messaging in there that makes Star Trek what it was. I truly believe that. If you create a Star Trek that is just action, that is not Star Trek. And the Abrams films, that's pretty much what they are. They were action movies, and so that's a point to be made. So it's already been done 3 times over. Did you balk at that? I don't think you did. In my opinion, that's what makes it different than Star Wars. And I love Star Wars. They can both coexist. And I love Tarantino's work and all the kinds of films he does. I am trying to have an open mind. I would be curious to read a script on his take. I do not think you could say we're going to do a Reservoir Dog Star Trek. I'll be honest, that doesn't work for me. But he is a fan, and I think he has a fan. He probably understands to some degree that Star Trek has to have some of this message. Yeah. Where was all this concern about Star Trek dysentery and Star Trek puke hard and Star Trek lopped off dicks? Nothing. No, you're the executive producer on this, so it's just a paycheck. Did you really try any influence or anything? I mean, they would have just shown you the door, I guess, and wasn't much you could do. Sure, but you're really that concerned about Tarantino Star Trek, which I don't know would be all that great, a gangster film with Captain Kirk and all that. I don't know, but after seeing these crappy shows and the movies, it's like, well, go for broke, I guess. But it won't happen, so now they're going to move on with this other guy in the hopes that maybe were they able to scrounge up enough cash to pay Pine and then come up with a script that's maybe would be earthbound so it can be cheaply done. But if you have an actual good idea, it really wouldn't matter. I mean, you still got to pay your stars, but if you actually had a clever story that doesn't require expensive special effects and whatnot, you can conceivably make a pretty good, interesting film. Highly unlikely with, bad reboot involved. So, yeah, that's it. So the Tarantino film was just another attempt at getting people, Star Trek? Because the brand has been so badly destroyed. And what's the common factor in it? Yeah, that's right. That nasty little robot. Yeah. So, it's sad, but I wish there could be some hope for it. But I don't really think there will be. Up next for them is Strange New Worlds, which actually does have a pretty good, again, a cast there, at least with the main 3 there, with Number 1 and Captain Pike and Spock. Although Spock was just completely, disgraced and trashed in Star Trek dysentery. But getting away from that and a proper prequel series concerning Captain Pike would have been a much better idea. And with those 3, you might have had something. But of course, it's still stuck there at Secret Hideout, and that's not happening. Because and Anson Mount, I think he's got leading man quality. He could carry a show. He's ready to go. He's right there. He's got the skill and talent, but he's not going to get the scripts. It'd be nice if it just proved me all wrong and it came out and it's just even if it was just a basic, fun show. I can't even do that. So, I wish there was Star Trek, some new Star Trek, but there isn't. Listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr. Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness, so many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.